Welcome, everyone, to a special edition of the Intelligence Report live from Charleston, South Carolina, the site of the second Fox Business GOP presidential debate. I am Trish Regan, and we are just 7 hours away from President Obama's 7th and final State of the Union address. The president is expected to highlight his crowning achievements throughout his tenure and to pave the way for Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton. But, you know, voters, they aren't quite as optimistic, especially when it comes to the safety and the economic security of our nation. In fact, a new Fox poll shows that 79% of voters say that another terror attack is somewhat or very likely to happen on U.S. soil. And 65% say Obama's handling of ISIS has largely been a failure. Overall, 42% of voters approve of the job that President Obama is doing in the White House, while 53% disapprove the job that President Obama is doing in the White House. So what can we expect in the final months of his presidency and in his speech tonight? Our all-star panel is here with breaking analysis, bringing to you conservative commentator Gina Loudon, Democratic strategist Mathew Littman, and economist Douglas Holtz-Eakin. Good to see all you guys. Mathew, I'll start with you. What are you anticipating from the president tonight? What do you think we're going to hear? Mathew Littman, can you hear me? All right, I'm going to go over to Gina Loudon. Gina Loudon.
I think that we'll hear a little bit about unemployment, and I think that he's going to brag about his low unemployment numbers, ignoring the fact that that's because many people have actually left the job market. I think we'll hear a lot about unity, despite the fact that he's done more to divide this country, and it's more divided racially and along gender lines and every other matter of identity politics than ever before. And finally, I think he'll talk about terror, but I think he'll try to blame it on an inanimate object called a gun, and herald his accomplishments there, which most of us don't see as accomplishments and certainly aren't going to make a dent in the terror we're seeing to continue in this country.
You know, Douglas Holtz-Eakin, when you look at his economic record, I mean, we can talk about terrorism and the rise of ISIS in a moment, but when you look at his economic record, you know, just the statistics alone, they actually look pretty good. I want to show everybody an unemployment chart. I mean, you look at the unemployment rate under President Obama, and this is what he is going to tout. It has gone from 7.8%, straight line down right there, to 5%. I mean, hey, it looks pretty good on the surface. Douglas, what is it that this rate that he's going to tell us about tonight is not telling us?
Well, I think it misses three things. I mean, number one, it misses the fact that not everything is unemployment. If you haven't had a raise for, 6 years, if you've seen your family income decline during what's supposed to be a recovery, the unemployment rate going down is cold comfort, to say the least. The other thing it doesn't capture is the fact that people are just not working. We've seen a lot of people give up. The labor force participation is way down, and we have a work problem in America. And then I think the real thing that's missing is how much of that is responsible, how much of that is the president responsible for? How much did his policies actually lower the unemployment rate? We know that economies recover. It was going to come down inevitably. So you have to look at that chart and decide how much is his and how much is someone else's.
I wind up getting blamed for it. And you know what? You take the accolades when it's a good time. But I would point out, and Gina, I wonder if you agree with this, that the president actually does have quite a bit of responsibility for the economy, because the president is the one that is setting the tone. I mean, you think about Ronald Reagan and the tone he set, and his push to decrease taxes, and the kind of policy that he was able to put in place that put us on very solid economic ground. I mean, we've got the antithesis of that happening right now in the White House.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, he's increased regulation on business, and especially small business, dramatically. He's increased taxation. He's increased just the tax burden. He's doubled the debt. I mean, let's just not pretend that all of these horrible things that have happened to us economically, that we and our children and our grandchildren, frankly, will be footing the bill for, haven't happened under this administration. He has done a deplorable job on this economy. He knows it, and that's why he's going to lie about these unemployment numbers that really should be telling the real story, the full story about the people that are out of work and have just left the job market, and the others mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, 5% just ain't what it used to be. I mean, you think about the wages, right? Wages have barely budged, just up 2.5% in the last year. So basically, we're adding jobs, which is why that unemployment figure looks so low. But these jobs are jobs that aren't paying well. They're retail jobs, they're restaurant jobs. And that's
and government
people
jobs
are actually working. Keep in mind, and government jobs. I mean, labor participation, we haven't seen levels like this since the 1970s, Doug.
Right. This is absolutely true. I mean, look, if we have 5% unemployment, that means 95% of people have a job. and they haven't had a raise in years, and their standard of living is going down, not up. That's going to be his lasting legacy, and that's why poll after poll shows that people think we're still in a recession and that the president's been a failure in handling of the economy.
Mm-hmm. I want to turn to terrorism because that's the other big issue that's front and center on voters' minds right now. And here is the president just a year ago in his State of the Union talking about the war on terror. Hear him here.
In Iraq and Syria, American leadership, including our military power, is stopping ISIL's advance. Instead of getting dragged into another ground war in the Middle East, we are leading a broad coalition, including Arab nations, to degrade and ultimately destroy this terrorist group.
We, of course, got word of another ISIS attack, what Turkey is calling an ISIS attack in that country today. So how's that coalition and that war against ISIS going at this point, Gina?
Yeah, not very well. I don't think there's a parent alive right now that is sleeping really soundly knowing that this president has handled ISIS and all the Islamic terror happening all over the world right now. I mean, even, we have moved from a place where we were looking at an Islamic terrorist attack every once in a while. Now, Trish, this is like a weekly thing. Like, 1 out of 7 days, you're going to be doing a breaking news broadcast talking about another Islamic terror attack somewhere in this world. And not only that, we have imported so many terrorists into this country, both through illegal immigration, through, of course, the refugee situation. And so what the place we were when all of this started was so much better than even where we are now. We are going to be paying for what he has done.
Well, we don't know that we've imported terrorism into the country. We hope we haven't, but the risk has certainly been increased. Right. Reports show that there are 300 ISIS supporters here in the country right now. That the government has tracked down and gone after. And so, obviously, the increased concerns. I do want to bring Mathew Littman into the conversation. Mathew, I think your technical difficulties have been resolved. Yeah. So this is a good opportunity for us to hear the other side in all this. We've been talking about how the president is expected to tout his record on the economy, and that he'll try and convince Americans he's very, very much front and center on this war on ISIS, and that he is going to talk about his executive order on guns as well. What are you anticipating from him tonight?
Well, I'm sure I'm assuming that I missed everybody praising the president's record. Is that what I missed so far?
Absolutely, Matthew.
That's what I'm missing. So you don't need me. I expect him to really be looking forward, not back, at all of the things that we still have to look forward to. I think my personal opinion is the economic record has been pretty good, not great, but unemployment has basically been cut in half over the last few years from where it was. The deficit's been cut in half. I think he'll talk about that. I think he will talk a little bit about the gun issue, which is a major issue. I heard, I think it's Gina, say before that people are scared of terrorist attacks every week. People are scared of gun violence every week. When people go to the movie theater, they look around to see where the exit is in a way that they hadn't before. I think he's going to talk about those types of things as well. And then on the foreign policy stuff, he's got some stuff to talk about on ISIS losing some territory, but the ISIS issue is not going away anytime soon. And from where we were last year, it has not gotten much better.